well, let's just go ahead and dive right in. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, especially because I can't even keep track of all of Sam Bam's bands. He's in like 20 different bands. So yeah, Sam, why don't you start since you've got the biggest resume right now?
Oh, come on. Hi, I'm Sam. I play guitar with Dorothy and Faster Pussycat and Budderside and a band called Crossbone Skully and whoever else will hire me at the moment.
All right, awesome. Welcome, Sam. Brett, you singer of Great White, All or Nothing. What else you got? Those two are your main ones, right?
And doing those shows with George and Lynch Mob and singing Dokken stuff with George sometimes. But yeah, that's about it.
All right. Welcome, Brett. And then Troy.
How's it going? Troy Patrick Farrell. I clean up after my 3 dogs. And I've been doing for about the last 6 years a show called This, That, and the Other radio show at dirtyradio.fm every Wednesday live 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, occasional drummer.
And manager too, like we were just talking about, right?
Yeah, I find lost luggage and, stuff like that. So I do it all. I wear all the hats, whatever it takes for me to get the gig.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about the year in rock 2023. So it's always a big year, right? There's always so much new music coming out, concerts, stories, all sorts of stuff. But I guess we'll start with new music. There was a lot that came out, but we might have all listened to different things. I'm sure we all have different tastes. It's not like back in the 70s and 80s when I feel like there was just only like so many albums. There's so much new music. You couldn't keep up with it. But I think one album for me that was big was the new Mammoth of Wolfgang Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen's son. Mammoth 2. Did you guys hear that one?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Oh, fucking killer. Fucking killer. Just like the first one.
Yeah, because I feel like his songwriting is maybe even better than his dad's. I mean, I don't know how if he's as good a guitar player, probably not. Definitely not as prolific. But the songwriting is so, or maybe it's just the production, but it's something about those songs they're really catchy.
Well, it's different. It's not Van Halen at all.
Right.
It's completely his own thing. So.
Have you seen them live?
Me personally, yes, I have. Has anybody else?
Yeah, I did. I saw him opening up for GNR at Allegiant, and we were walking in to get to our seats, so we missed half the show. But I thought it was great. It was a big stage for him, and obviously new band. Even though he's got that Van Halen last name, no free passes, especially when you're opening up for a mega act like GNR. And I feel like with the stripped down set going up there with his little band, they kicked ass.
Yeah, no, I saw him open for Guns N' Roses. I wanted to see him headline. I missed it, but they seem like a very good live band. I mean, because they're younger too. So it's like easier. Some of the songs, as singers get older, I feel like it's sometimes harder. But Brett, have you seen them or heard that new music?
I haven't seen them. I've heard a little bit of it, and everything I've heard from Mammoth is really good. So I'm like, cool. It's totally not Van Halen, so it's not, I didn't know whenever I heard at first that he was coming out with stuff, I didn't know what to expect. And I heard it and I was like, oh, okay, I like this. So
yeah, because I think one of the first big songs they had was off that first album was a song about his dad dying. And that song almost like brings a tear to my eye every time I hear it. It's so powerful. Like when you know what it's about and the lyrics and stuff and just the melody. I mean, it's really a well-written song.
Yeah, I weeped like a 5-year-old that got his favorite toy taken away. I mean, it was very sad and out of the gate, but I feel like for him, it addressed the elephant in the room, meaning this connection with his dad. And here he comes out with this solo stuff. And I feel like in a way it was kind of a send off for him to, that his dad is gone now. Here's my tribute to my father, taught me everything I know, but I'm my own man. And now I'm, going off on my own to do my own thing. I kind of feel in some weird way it was like that in hindsight. I don't think it was by design, hey, let's address this. Here's my dad, Eddie Van Halen, which everybody knows and loves. But I feel like for him, it was a way to address it, send his dedication, and then, leave home and do what he needs to do.
Yeah, I think he's definitely made his mark as his own musician. Sure. I don't think everyone's just going to think of him as Eddie Van Halen's son. I mean, at least for me, but I know there's those trolls online and he engages with them, and he has some of the funniest responses I've ever seen. He called somebody a grape or something.
Grape wine. Oh,
That was a good one.
amazing.
What other albums stick out for you guys personally? Sam, is there any other? I mean, I don't know if you have time to listen to music, but is there anything that sticks out to you that you really enjoyed?
I made a list, but the ones that stand out the most for me are Hackney Diamonds, the Rolling Stones album, if I said that word right. In Times New Roman, Queens of the Stone Age, 72 Seasons, Metallica, and there's a lot more too, but those three are kind of like my top three, I guess.
Yeah, the Rolling Stones one's interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard that, Troy and Brett, but the music video. Did you see the music video too, Sam? Because it's got Sydney Sweeney in it. And that was kind of a big thing because the feminists were like, hey, you can't, she's being objectified. And then she's like, actually, I picked out the clothes that I wanted to wear with that music video. So I don't know if we can get a picture of that her in that music video, but it's actually a pretty catchy song. I just listened to it and saw the music video. I thought it was great.
I haven't seen the video, but I heard the whole record, and every song I was just like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then we got to the end and it was like, oh my gosh, I loved it. Loved the whole thing. So
now I'll have to have you heard that one, Troy? Have you heard that album or the song?
Yeah, so on my show we do some talk and we do lots of new music, and so the stuff that I've heard and a lot of my list, and there are a couple that are on Sam's list that match, are because he's got good taste in rock and roll, are based on just hearing a couple songs, so I can't say that I've sat and had album time with some of these new releases, but it's stuff that I hear and I can just tell it's quality. And then you hear track 2, track 3, and it's like, man, every song is a hit. Every song is great. And so at that point, I feel like I can determine that these, in my opinion, would be top 5. Stones is in my list there. The new Metallica as well. And I didn't grow up being a Metallica fan at all. I was more into the Bon Jovi stuff and the Cinderella and that end. I never got in on the early boat of Metallica, but probably in the last 20 years. But this last album, I want to get tickets. I want to go see them. I'm all about Metallica. I like how they've taken their career and what they're doing with it. I mean, they are just their own self-sufficient machine. And, obviously they have great management, but great songs. And I think the guys in the band are great dudes. And it's why they're doing the business that they do. Any band that goes out there and does 2 headlining shows back to back with completely different set lists, completely different opening act. I mean, they are delivering, the hard-earned ticket price, in my opinion. So Metallica is definitely on my list. Not only is one of my new old favorite bands now, but for 72 seasons, every track that they've put out's been great. The new Extreme is awesome. I think every song there is really cool, and their absence obviously wasn't wasted not doing anything. And then I got a couple honorable mentions that I just dig. Dirty Honey, Can't Find the Breaks, great band, great live band, all live, and they sound just like the album because it's all very organic and real. And then we had Rolling Stones and the Struts, pretty vicious. I just another band I dig. Keeps, even though they're not a new band now, they're 10 years old, but they're kind of moving around. I don't think people know what kind of box to put them in, but I dig them. They put out great stuff, whether it's on the poppy side or the more organic 70s Queenish kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they're good live too. Yeah, I had some of those too. The Mammoth, the Extreme, the new album. I listened to that front to back. It was really good. New LA Guns, new Winger, the new Seven Dust, Truth Killer. I don't know if you guys are. I was never really a Seven Dust fan, but I listened to that album because I was interviewing the singer, and it was very eclectic, and I really liked it. I like the new Bad Wolves. That's good stuff too. Brett, I'm curious what you have, because you were telling me you like some of the heavier stuff, and I listened to some of those bands that you mentioned, and I was like, whoa, this stuff blew me away. This is really heavy stuff. And you just wouldn't think of that coming from the singer Great White.
I do some of that stuff like on my own, and me and some of the guys in AON and everything have talked about putting some projects together like that, actually, and I'm really excited But yeah, Dirty Honey always kills it. I've seen them like 3 times live. They sound just like the record. They're awesome. But I mean, like Knocked Loose. I listen to Knocked Loose a lot. They have been doing really, really well. Like filling out arenas and everything, and that's kind of hard to do coming from like a hardcore band. So I'm super happy for them. Lorna Shore too. They're doing crazy well. Falling in Reverse. Like I've been super busy this year, and I lean more in the heavy direction. So yeah.
So do you think that will be the future for you? Is you're going to be doing more of that kind of heavy singing?
Yes, but I've been recording a lot of pop stuff too, so I'm kind of all over the place.
Wait, pop stuff with All or Nothing, or with just a different project?
On my own.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You post like TikTok and Instagram of just you singing, right? Sometimes, or
Sometimes, but I've got like probably almost 30 songs recorded that I'm waiting to do something with. So we'll see
nice.
what-
Oh, I wanted to see. Let's see if I can work this. I wanted to show you guys a picture of that Sydney Sweeney thing. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, I heard there was a little backlash about that, being objectified, and it's like, hey, this is how we made videos 30 years ago.
Yeah, can you guys see that? I don't know if you
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, for sure.
You see so it's like, yes, people were mad, but it's like, I mean, like I said, she picked it, so
I've got the same outfit.
right. Let's see. Well, another one nobody mentioned, but it was a big album, was the new Foo Fighters, the 11th studio album. But here we are, and it's the first one without Taylor Hawkins, who died unexpectedly. So I actually went. I'd never seen the Foo Fighters, and they came to town. I was like, dude, I got to see the Foo Fighters. I wish I would have seen them with Hawkins. It was one of those bands that I was like, I didn't hate, but I didn't like love enough to like go fight the traffic and, go to a big stadium tour. But I made myself do it, and they were really good. So have you guys heard that new album, or have you ever seen the Foo Fighters live?
I have not heard the new album, and I have not seen them live.
Wow. Brett, have you?
I would like to see them live. I've heard they put on a really, really good show, but I haven't.
Troy?
I have seen them live, and probably one of the best shows. I mean, they're doing 3 hours. It's entertaining. Dave, the way he's up there, you feel like you're in a small rock club with not like 20 people. It gives you that ambiance of a very personable show, yet you're in a place that's holding 20,000 people and everybody's all kind of rocking to the same concert. But they are great live. Definitely bucket list band. Go see them. They got tons of great songs, huge catalog, great energy, and they have a lot of fun during their shows, which is, really what rock and roll, in my opinion, was about. They're not on a script. And so whatever happens. And I think like in each city, you'll get a different show because it's a different audience, different things happen during the day. But as far as their last album goes, of course I spin something if it comes out new, but nothing, it hasn't really grabbed me, not enough to dive deeper into the album. But I do, I'll always like the Foos for sure.
What do you think of the new drummer? I mean, obviously Taylor Hawkins was amazing, but the new drummer, I'm trying to remember, like I feel like he's got a great resume. I think he was in with Tool, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like he was phenomenal. Have you seen the band with him?
I have not. No, he's great. He's fantastic. But I feel like he's one of those studio guys. I don't feel like he's a band guy. Taylor Hawkins is a band guy. He's a drummer you want in your band. He's a bro. And so I don't get that sensation. I was hoping they were going to go with the kid from the Darkness, because another Taylor, Roger Taylor's son. And I was hoping, because I feel like he's a band guy, and Foo Fighters is a band. A lot of people, obviously, it's Dave Grohl. We get it. It's Dave Grohl's band. But all those guys have been in that band almost since the inception. The keyboard player is a late hire, but he's been in the band, Rami. And then, he got Pat, he drug Pat off of Hollywood Boulevard going, hey, I want you in this band. Pat didn't want to be in the band. He was kind of retired, but, he's had the same lineup of guys throughout essentially, the modern day success of Foo Fighters. So, I don't know. He's a great drummer, so you can't sit there and take away from that. But, Taylor Hawkins is a band guy, and I felt like they should have got a band guy in the band.
Yeah. That's an interesting take. I never thought of it like that. Another album that came out. There's a lot of I don't know what you call them, like legacy acts or whatever, but Dokken had a new album, and Don Dokken, I mean, he was on my show. He's done so many interviews, and that guy is entertaining. I don't know if you guys watch any of his interviews or clips or whatever, but he's like an open book and he's very entertaining. But one thing that was interesting is that he said, and on my show, he said that he wished, because I guess Warren DeMartini from Rat was originally the guitarist in Dokken, or like a week or something. Like, and then George Lynch came back because he tried out for Ozzy and it didn't work out. And he said, I want my job back, and kicked Warren out. And Don was saying, oh, I think if we would have kept Warren in, we would have taken off a lot faster and we would have been a lot bigger and all this. So I just kind of shared that clip, and people on the internet went crazy talking about Warren DeMartini versus George Lynch. And there was like, I mean, people were arguing for both sides, totally different styles. But I'll start with you, Sam, on this one. What do you think about Warren DeMartini versus George Lynch? Who's the better guitar player?
Don't make me answer that.
Watching right now. Hang on, George. Yeah, he's getting ready to give his answer, George. Hang on.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of the differences? Because people online were saying like George is much more like free form and like does what he wants and feels it and never plays the same, whereas Warren is like much more technical and is going to be able to give you, like, you know, if you tell him, hey, Warren, play it like this, he'll be able to do it like that.
Yeah, it's hard for me because as a guitar player, I'm very much a fan of both. So I'm very much a fan of a guy like Warren who will play it the same all the time and will play it just like the record and whatnot. But then also George Lynch, who will do something else in the moment. Because I also feel like sometimes when I'm playing, I'm very by feel in the moment and whatnot. So don't make me say who's better, but I like both. Both are great.
That's a great answer. Brett, what do you think? Do you have a comparison? I mean, you're going to play with George, so I'm guessing you're going to say George.
And you have played with George, right?
Yeah, several times. He's really cool. And yeah, you never know what he's gonna do. Whenever we're playing with him, like it's AON's like the band backing him, and we'll be playing the song like it is. You know, Jacob's holding down the rhythms and everything. And sometimes George he'll just be over there doing his thing, just soloing through big parts of the song that don't even have solos, and he's just it's really artistic. It's really cool. He's just over there doing his thing, vibing, chilling. He's always super happy, and like it's cool.
And that doesn't it's okay to play with somebody like that. It doesn't like disrupt you and your flow or whatever.
It could be easy to, but me and the guys are tight enough. We listen to each other, so no matter what he's doing over there, we know where we're at in the song. And I mean, it's cool. I mean, he wrote it, so he could do whatever he wants with it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think that's what's different about like Lynch Mob versus Dokken. It's like, I think that was like Dokken had so many fights and everything because they're all such great musicians, and Don wants to do it his way. But when it's Lynch Mob, it's like George can do whatever he wants. And so that's right. Yeah. Troy, do you have an opinion on that? I'm sure you are aware of both of them.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as far as guitar players go, I think they're both great. George is so quirky as a person, so he edges up just a little bit above in my book, only because I just like, you know, I did a tour opening up for Lynch Mob, and we shared a bus with them. And he is just an odd, and I mean this in a great way, he's just an odd dude. And I just love, you know, because you don't know if he's serious or not, or you never really know how to take him. He's got like this driest sense of humor. So with that alone, that, you know, kind of edges him up above, you know, Warren. But I mean, Warren, you know, Warren's a great guitar player, and out there tour managing Bobby Blotzer's Rat experience, and he turned it into Rat at some point. Conversation for another time. But you know, a lot of respect was paid towards those guitar parts and the attempt to duplicate and replicate a Warren DeMartini, which is not the easiest thing. So they're both fantastic guitar players and definitely deserve to be in our worlds. You know what I mean? They're great. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the other biggest, you know, what's interesting, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, I feel like So I think it was Rage Against the Machine was the only like hard rock one inducted this year. But I feel like to me, the bigger story is always the bands that are not inducted. And so I think that was the only hard rock one. But so we're still missing like, I had to like do a double take on this. I was like, is this right? Tell me if all these are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Alice in Chains, Megadeth, Ozzy, Pantera, Slayer, Smash.
You know, my DNA is all over that.
You said Megadeth. Sorry.
Stone Temple Pilots, Tool, and Motley Crue. None of those bands are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, that's like shocking to me.
There's a handful that I'm not shocked by. To
Really?
be honest, though. Yeah, I mean, Tool. I mean, it's obviously this is all opinion based, but I feel like Motley Crue definitely, and I look at the people that I would put in as, who was the most influential, who are bands that are constantly, hey, who are your favorite bands growing up, or who influenced you? You hear the same bands over and over. And to me, those are, rock. I just don't hear a lot of, unless it's a Tool tribute band. I just don't know that they have the mass amount of influence compared to a Motley Crue. So, Megadeth, I don't know if they'll get in there. I mean, does the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame put a lot of rock and roll bands in there? I mean, they don't really.
It's more like the rock or pop music Hall of Fame. I don't know, but
I don't know what it is.
I think Tool does have, I'm not a huge Tool fan, but I respect them. And there's some people that Tool is literally their favorite band. So I think it could be too like a generational thing. You and I are a little older. Sam, what do you I know you love Alice in Chains, but what do you think about that list?
I do love Alice in Chains. Soundgarden too. I don't think Soundgarden's in it either.
Oh, I thought did they not get in?
I don't know. Did they?
Wow, that's bad too
sure.
if they're not in it.
I don't know.
Ask Alexa.
There's definitely a lot of bands that aren't in it. Iron Maiden's not in it. Isn't Thin Lizzy not in it?
Yep, Thin Lizzy's not in it. I mean, I think before Tool gets in, there's a heap of past due bills that need to be paid. A lot of other bands that deserve, I think, in my opinion.
Great, Brett. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with everything y'all said, for real.
Is there any of those bands? Is there anyone that's like you're one of your favorites, or you're just like shocked that which?
I mean, I'm surprised Crew isn't in it. Like, but there are a lot that aren't in it. So I'm just like, chilling.
Yeah, I think we're right. I just double checked that Soundgarden is not in. So yeah, Motley Crue. That's a weird one because if it's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I can't think. I mean, if you look at the list of the people that are in, Motley Crue is more famous. Like people know the band, they're playing stadiums. But that was a big story of the year too, is that Mick Mars stepped down and then he's released a solo song, but the band, he's suing the band now. And so this drama is so weird. I've never seen the fans so divided. I feel like everyone took Mick's side, but Motley Crue's still playing stadiums, and Mick Mars is doing this like solo career, and he's doing press on these like really small radio shows that I've never heard of. And I thought I knew every podcast. I'm like, I never heard of this podcast that Mick Mars is doing. It's a very bizarre path that they each took. And then, the Crew obviously got John 5. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Because that seemed to be a big story for the year. Troy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I think what he was, based on my, and I don't have a law degree, nor do I play one on TV, but he, I think what happened was he left the touring entity, but still feels that he's 1/4 or whatever his percentage is of the band, and they wanted to essentially, get rid of his stake in the band and drop him down to 5% of all revenue. And he's like, I'm still, a part of this band. I'm on the board, and 5% doesn't cut it. So with that being said, you'd have to look and see what their deal is. But if he is legit whatever percentage he is of the band, just because he's not touring with them doesn't mean that he shouldn't get that. It's kind of like Bunny Carlos. He doesn't go out and hasn't toured with Cheap Trick, but they have a deal that he gets, whatever his royalties are from back in the day, whatever his mechanicals would be for the albums that he performed on, that doesn't change. And, whatever money they make, he's still on the board. So he might get, some mailbox money. Maybe it's 15% of whatever, 20%, whatever the deal is. Like, hey, if you're in the band, you get 20% or 25% of everything left over. But if you're not in the band, you get 10%. whatever their deal is. And it seems like Motley, just kind of shifted gears and didn't tell him and said, well, since you're not touring, we're going out on this big, huge tour and you're out of the band and here's 5%, here's chump change. Although 5% of Motley money is still probably quite a bit. He certainly should get paid whatever the agreed upon rate is,
Yeah, it's a complicated thing with the legal. I don't know how that all that stuff works because he helped build the name and the song. So like, should he get a cut of the merch or like, how does that? Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion, if he's on, like, if they're doing Motley Crue nostalgic merch, in addition to maybe something that's just a logo or John 5, I mean, it depends on their deal. If they have a merch deal where they all, that doesn't change if he's not in the band unless he sells all his shares, so all that should still be equal. And if he's out of the band, then maybe that percentage drops a little bit. But, I can't imagine him getting any revenue from a shirt he's not on. But if he's out there being sold on a shirt, he should be getting his cut of it. And, certainly we get his publishing and all that other stuff. But if he's got an equal stake or some stake in the touring entity of Motley, despite the fact that he's not out there, he needs to be paid his percentage, because he's an owner. He's on the board,
Right.
I mean, that's the case. I don't know if that's the case or not. So,
yeah. Brett, what do you think? Because you're a fan of the Crew. Are you on Team Crew or Team Mick?
Yeah, I'm just glad I got to see him a couple times before all this happened. I didn't get to see him on the stadium tour or anything like that, but they were, I saw him a couple times when I was younger. But totally, if he's not, he shouldn't be getting paid for shows or whatever, but he should be still getting everything that he's entitled to for all the work he put in, all the years, everything he played on. Like you said, if he's on some T-shirts, memorabilia kind of stuff, like, I don't see why that should change at all. It doesn't.
Have you heard the new solo song?
Yes, a little bit of it. And I know he's been working with my friend Jacob Bunton on
Oh, I
the
didn't know you were
song
friends
and
with him.
album. Yeah, he's from Birmingham. Or I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
if technically Birmingham, but yeah, we're from the same area and he's super cool. He's super cool.
He sings on I think one or two, is it all the songs or at least a couple that have been released already, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's gonna be all the songs, but yeah, and I'm excited about that. And Jacob's an amazing songwriter. He works with a ton of people and everything, but I'm glad to see him doing that because he's a really nice guy. So I'm excited about that aspect of the whole thing. So
That's awesome. Sam, do you have an opinion on this one?
That was basically going to be my same opinion. Is stoked for Jacob because Jake was working with Mick Mars, and love Jacob Bunton. Love what he does with Budderside. We do a lot of shows with Neon Coven, which is a band of his, Jacob's, and as well as Jacob's also been mixing all the new Faster Pussycat music. So very much happy for him. So anything, and of course, I mean, being a guitar player, my favorite part of Motley Crue was Mick Mars, just because big guitar tone and the big, just giant guitar sound. So I don't know. Again, I don't really want to pick sides because I'm a very neutral person. At least that's how I try to keep it. But I do like the new Mick Mars songs. I think there's 2 out. Another one just came out actually in the last week. And what I've heard, I think is cool.
Yeah, that other new one was called The Right Side of Wrong. Just came out a couple days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And I heard the rumor was originally it was John Corabi that sang with, and I guess there's some story that has not been revealed yet as to the reason why John Corabi is not singing on some of these or all of them. But you played with Corabi, Troy, so I don't know if you have an inside scoop on that.
Yeah, the only thing that I know, and I know that they released a couple teasers of some of the recordings, which I thought was great, but John can sing the phone book and he's awesome. And I felt like the stuff was really aggressive. I'm not saying I don't like the new stuff. I just thought the Corabi stuff was great. From what I understand, and I just had heard Mick on an interview with Eddie Trunk that there was somebody a part of that initial project that sort of, spoiled it. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. He didn't specify. I don't know if it was a producer or whatever. But essentially, it sounds like they've trashed all that old stuff, and it's all Jacob and Mick, and then special guest and stuff doing the new stuff. But it seems like, and it wasn't. He didn't allude to that it was John that spoiled it, but I think somebody on the business end kind of ruined that first attempt of him to put out some solo stuff, and it never got beyond the song samples.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was interesting because I remember when Motley Crue, I don't know if you guys remember, the younger people probably don't remember this, but like in '94 when they did the album with Karabi, and then Mick Mars had a solo song, and it was more like a Jeff Beck, like an instrumental guitar bluesy thing. And I thought that's what the new stuff was going to be like. And the new stuff's obviously it's more modern.
Very aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool, but it would have been interesting to hear what he would do with a blues album. Cause I thought that's what he said he was going to do. I'm going to do a blues album. I mean, this was like before he ever even left Motley Crue. He was talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, even the Karabi stuff wasn't, I mean, it was definitely edgy. John's got that rasp, so there is a sense of some blues there. But I mean, it really was just rock and roll. And I feel like the new stuff is a little bit more modern rock and roll. So I don't know. I feel like Mick is missing we haven't heard the whole album yet, but he's missing an opportunity to really just come out as. I think he needs to come out with a really cool guitar song, that really highlights his guitar playing. I mean, all the riffs and the chords are great, but in my opinion, they're feeling just a little generic to me. They're not, it's exciting that it's Mick Mars, not with Motley Crue, but after that, my attention just kind of goes away from it. I'm not super hyped on it, but the Motley Crue's working on new material, and I kind of feel like I'm going to have the same feeling when that comes out too.
I will add too, when I heard the first, I can't really remember the second Mick Mars solo single, but when I heard the first one, because there was a big build up to it, and it got to the guitar solo, and it was so short. I was like, make that longer, That's
Especially
and especially for
first
fans of
repeat.
Mick Mars, they want to hear him shred, right?
Yeah, let him
I
rip.
I want to hear 32 bars of a guitar solo.
Yeah,
Well,
not
I'm sure that
3.
there'll be
and a
more.
half.
So, what's that?
Not 3.5.
Yeah, there'll be more songs. So maybe the other stuff is more classic Mick Mars. Well, another big story of the year: Kiss retired. I guess partly the big story is that they retire. I mean, that was already coming, but they did the last show. But then the other part of the story is they had digital avatars that are taken. So this is confusing to me. I'm like, are they going to tour with avatars? Is this like a Vegas show? Like, do they play stadiums and it's an avatar? Because I don't know if I'd pay Kiss concert ticket prices to see an avatar. But what do you think? I'll start with you, Sam. What do you think of avatar concerts?
Pass. Next question.
Brett, do you want to be replaced by an avatar?
No, I don't think that would be as fun for me.
Would you go see? I mean, what if it's somebody who's like Kiss, who's retired, or an artist like Jimi Hendrix that you couldn't see unless it was some sort of like hologram or avatar or something?
That I feel like that could be kind of cool. I know I've seen a video of oh shoot, who was it? Dio. I've seen a Dio video that was like a hologram or something like that. And that's kind of cool because he's not around anymore and everybody loves Dio. But like, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be the same. And I feel like Kiss would probably want to do something like that because Gene said that even though the band's not touring anymore, that the brand's still going to continue. So I can see them doing something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to
the same.
see what they can do, if they can sell out a stadium or if it's going to be more like a theater kind of thing. Troy, what's your take on it?
Well, I'd like to defer to Alex Jones for a second for commentary.
Well, Gene Simmons is one of two things. He's one dumb son of a bitch, or he's one evil bastard.
So
Maybe both. Maybe both.
So here's my thoughts on that. I think the avatars look terrible. I don't know if they're trying to replicate what ABBA is doing, where they have their own sufficient man-made theater that's all strictly for the ABBA technology, which is kind of what Kiss is leaning to, even though the promo video looked like a cartoon to me. It didn't look 3D, didn't look very real. Look, it was like modern day Kiss with the replacement guy. I don't know. It's just very bizarre, and the technology didn't look great. I think what ABBA's doing is cool, but you got to travel to, Sweden to go do it and to see it. If this is a traveling thing and it's going to be playing, I don't know, theaters or arenas or what, I don't know who's going to go see a bunch of 3D cartoons. What Brett said about the Dio hologram, although I didn't like the second hologram, I felt like it there was something a little weird about it. The technology was great, the concept was great, and they had a live band on stage with synced up to real video and this hologram there, and it felt like Dio, and actual audio from a concert. I would go see that. I would go see Dio do that. The Kiss thing, I don't think I go see it. I won't go see it. I think it's terrible. It looks bad. It's Phantom of the Opera 2024 or
Well,
Phantom of the Park. I'm sorry.
I tell you who agrees with you is Ace Frehley, ex-guitar player from Kiss, said, I'll read his quote. I'm happy it's over because I'm not going to be compared to them anymore, but I don't get this Avatar thing that they're going to do. I mean, I saw some of it on a video on YouTube last night. It kind of looked like it was geared towards children. It's not rock and roll. I get up on stage without backing tracks, plug into my amp, plug in my guitar into a Marshall and go. That's it. It's always been that way and always will be. So that was Ace Frehley's take. And he's got a new song out. I don't know if you guys heard his song, 10,000 Volts. I thought it was really catchy.
Dig it.
Totally
Totally
written by
dig it.
Steve Brown from Trickster, and real catchy. I don't know if I would call it modern sounding, but I liked it. Did anyone else hear that?
I dig it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. You guys hear it, Brett or Sam?
I haven't. I'll check that out though.
I did hear it. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear the rest of the album. If it all sounds like that, I'm in. I saw him live and he was great. No avatars. Real rock and roll. Fun stuff. Another big story of the year, Mike Portnoy, who was in Dream Theater, returned to Dream Theater. He also played drums with Twisted Sister for the reunion show. Are you guys Portnoy fans? Because he's considered one of the best drummers of all time. He's been in a bunch of different bands. Is this a big story? You guys Dream Theater fans? Troy, I'll start with you because you're a drummer. Are you a fan of Portnoy?
I am in the Winery Dogs. I love what he does there because he brings that Portnoy style to a band that's got, a little bit more rooted in melodies and blues. And I like how he mixes it up in there a little bit. The Dream Theater stuff, I mean, it's kind of like algebra to me. Obviously they're very successful musicians. They're very competent. They're great. The songs don't do anything for me. Putting on a new Rolling Stones song, and I'm not even a Stones fan, really. Obviously I've played a lot of the songs in cover bands, but I don't have a whole array. I don't know if I have one Rolling Stones album, but give me that all day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely more technical stuff. Brad,
Sam, I'm sorry. I don't have a Rolling Stones album. Am I off your Christmas card list?
Oh, that's okay. I don't either.
Brad, have you heard Portnoy? You have an opinion on him? Have you seen Dream Theater or Winery Dogs or any of the bands he's played with?
I haven't seen either one of them. I know I saw a lot of people that were really happy about him coming back to Dream Theater, and I know that he's crazy good, but I don't know his whole resume of things. But I mean, hey, if those people are stoked, then cool. Good for them.
Sam, what do you think? Have you ever crossed paths with him? You're both in so many different bands. I'm surprised you haven't played with him, or have you?
I don't believe so. But my biggest encounter, I guess, with Mike Portnoy's playing was when he played with Avenged Sevenfold. So I really loved what he did with them. And yeah, I agree with Troy for sure with the Winery Dog stuff. It's a little easier for me to digest, hearing a song with melody with the great Richie Kotzen singing and playing and Billy Sheehan. And again, not that Dream Theater is not great, because it is fantastic, but it's a lot of math for me, and 17 minutes on one song is very hard for my attention span.
Isn't there a genre of rock? My cousin likes math rock. He was telling, I was like, I didn't even know what that was, but that's like a genre of music, I
I
guess.
think Dream Theater is the headlining band of that genre.
Okay. Troy, tell me about the Eddie Trunk birthday party. This was like a star-studded event. Were you there?
I was there, yeah. Gracious enough to be invited and given a little placard or laminate to go in and enjoy it. It was my expectations were pretty high because I kind of figured he was going to do something really good, and he obviously 40 years in the business. What can you say about that? I mean, it's tremendous, and he's still very old school. Even though he's on satellite radio now, he's found a way to keep this music, the rock and roll, and interviewing guys on his radio show every week. I think he's raising the flag for rock and roll higher than anybody else. And they showed up at his event. It's actually in one of my top 5 concerts. In fact, concert event, it would be number 1 for this year. It was great. I mean, you got the guys from Night Ranger, Piercy, Black Sabbath, Geezer Butler, the singer from Rival Sons, Portnoy on drums, Glenn Sobel, Alice Cooper, Lita Ford. I mean, the list goes on. It was Sebastian Bach was there. It was amazing. It was great. And Brent Woods, who organized and herded all them cats, aka musicians, for rehearsal to put it all together. I mean, I didn't hear not one mistake, but it still at the same time felt very loose and dangerous. So you knew that when they got done, I was like, oh wow, this is it wasn't a polished rock show. It was just a rock and roll show. MVP was REO Speedwagon, Kevin Cronin. He stole the night. It was awesome.
Wow. Is there video of that show online?
Yeah, well, in fact, there's a dude that was up, I think, in row 1 on the balcony and filmed the entire thing, the entire show. So it's all up there from the balcony. So it's a good view. And, even from the phones these days, the audio is great. And then there's another guy that brought in a pro audio recorder with a stick and recorded the whole thing. And it's like time coded. It's like FLAC, lossless version. Like he put together a whole schematic of everybody who played, when they played, on a timestamp, and the files are up on the internet already. Like it's crazy.
Well,
And I heard the quality. It's great.
I was going to ask you about that then. I will get all your opinions on this. Is like just phones at concerts. I feel like that's always a story. Do you like phones? I mean, do you mind having people record you guys playing with the phones? Like, and to what degree? Because I think there's the people that might take their phone out to record a clip or something, or a song or two. And then there's the people, like you said, with the sticks,
A whole
that just
show.
record the entire concert. And then I feel like too, like if you're doing that and you're recording the whole concert and putting it on YouTube, how does that work? Because isn't there some sort of copyright thing where do you guys get a piece of that, or is it like a bootleg? I don't understand.
Which one of the attorneys wants to answer?
Do we even know the answers to this? Like, because I just know I'm very sensitive with my YouTube channel to not put up too much copyrighted stuff because I don't want to they'll demonetize you.
Well, yeah, and that's what they do. So whoever, with all the bots and the scouring of all the files, I mean, it's amazing the technology that YouTube implements to avoid copyright issues, to protect themselves and the artist, and good on them for doing that. Whoever would be the publishing, they got the little bots that scans the audio, and it knows who wrote the song, who's got the publishing, and so it would demonetize. So whoever put that up wouldn't be able to monetize it. And as long as nobody complained about it, they could still have it up there for other people to enjoy. But yeah, the songwriters would be the ones to get the credits for each song on that. So they can't really monetize it. But if Ace for some reason played a Kiss song written by Gene and Paul, which he may or may not have, Ace was there too, by the way, ended the show. It was awesome. If Gene and Paul's publishing and it got scanned, and they got an alert that, hey, there's a song, blah blah. They could shut it down too. They could put a copyright strike in there, and it'll I don't know if YouTube either mutes that particular audio or if they just take the whole video down with a strike. So
Yeah, they'll give
one
you a
of those
strike,
artists
I
can
think,
complain. Yeah,
to take it down. But just in terms like Brett, when you're out there singing, rocking out, and people have their phones, is it distracting? Like, does a flash go off sometimes? And would you rather just go to a show and have nobody recording you?
It's not really distracting to me. I like people to be more present. So, I mean, phones are cool because I know that, this might be their favorite song and they're wanting to like save that for them or whatever. If I'm sick, I'm like, oh no, please don't look at that. If I'm like having a bad day or something, but that's just part of being live. But um I don't know. I don't mind it too much, but definitely sometimes you see more phones than you see people like smiling and singing along and like rocking out with us, and that's a little different. That's why I'm like, come on, let's be present while we're in this room together. We're here together to have a good time. So
Yeah.
like we're on our phones all day, every day. But I don't know. I guess everybody has their own reasons for things.
Yeah. Sam, what do you think?
I feel like I kind of have the same or a similar opinion. It's, when I'm going to a show as a fan, I know there's certain, songs or certain things that I'd like to film a little clip of to have or to share myself or whatever. And, but then there's also more so the thing, I guess, that annoys me if there's somebody in front of me who's just like on their phone texting, and it's just kind of like, is this over yet?
Wow, yeah, that's got to be I guess in a way it also helps you guys, because if people post a picture or video, it's free advertising for the concert and the tour.
Totally.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say. That was my other side of it too, is I don't really have a problem with it because everybody that posts something, all their followers are gonna see it and everything else. So it's like it just kind of grows I feel like it can grow shows in the community too. So I don't know. There's both sides of it. I'm kind of neutral because I can see both.
Right. Yeah, it's like you
Totally.
said though, if you're sick, if it's a bad look, it's a bad picture, like, I mean, you have no control, and you could be like this, like with your eye closed, and like
Oh
that's
yeah,
the picture, or it's like maybe, you miss a note or something, and then that's the video, and you're just like, well, this isn't my best moment that I want to put on the internet. Like, you don't get to choose. It's kind of interesting.
totally. And that's it. I've seen so many pictures where I'm in the middle of singing something. It's like somebody's taking pictures while you're talking, and like you don't know what you're doing with your face. Or I've seen so many pictures that look like I'm about to sneeze or something that I'm just like, what's going on right there? But it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Because some bands do the thing where, I mean, I know, like, I mean, this is comedy, not music, but like Dave Chappelle, my girlfriend went to the Dave Chappelle show, and they had to put their phones in one of those like special Ziploc bags or whatever, so they couldn't take any pictures or videos. And I think Jack White from the White Stripes, I think he did the same thing. There's some artists that are doing that are making people leave their phones. I mean, do you think that will be a trend that will catch on?
I don't really know. I've heard of that from somebody else too, and I can't remember who I heard did that
Is
as
it Pearl
well.
Jam? I don't know if Pearl Jam was one of those bands.
That sounds like something they do.
Maybe, but I don't know. It's a hard thing. It's hard because if somebody's buying a ticket to the show, feel like they should be able to live that experience however they want to. But at the same time, also understand the wanting everybody to be present. So,
But do you think that would also be the future, is that maybe that's going to be another way, because bands are struggling to make money? I mean, I'm seeing so many articles about that. We can get into that in a minute, but I feel like that could be another piece. Like, okay, if you want video of the songs or whatever, like you could pick your top 5 favorite songs, and we'll give you the clips professionally shot or something like that. Like, I feel like that could be the next step with this.
possibly, yeah.
That's actually a
a
great
really
idea.
Yeah.
So that way, because like what Brett said earlier was, it is a a give and take when you're playing live, and there's nothing worse, especially for the front man. I can imagine, because you're up there, guitar players are up there, they're seeing it all. For me as a drummer, I'm not seeing so much, but that disconnect, when the crowd's just not into whatever because they've got their faces buried in their phone, or they're watching the basketball game on the TV above you. When you play those bars and grills, it's like you feel just the disconnect is gone. So a good audience is just as important as a good band. I think both of them both need each other. But I think that's actually a great idea. Like, hey, leave your phones, and for doing that, because some of these bands put on really intricate shows, and they want, they're putting in a lot of effort, a lot of money. And, you talk about how touring right now is the only way bands are making money, which is true. And that is, exponentially more expensive lately. They put on, why produce all this stuff if nobody's going to be watching it or filming it, vertically with their crappy phone? Nobody needs that. So I kind of see it from both sides too. But what a great idea to offer. Hey, don't bring in your phones. We're going to give you 3 clips, whatever. Maybe they professionally shoot a whole show, and then you get 3 clips of your choosing. What band was it? There was a band that would record. I don't know if Metallica did this, but they would record the show and then sell it at the merch later that night.
Yeah, no, that's smart. I just think like that would be a smart way to get people more engaged in the show. And then I would pay for that. And then I'd be like, oh, I don't have to worry about like recording this clip. Like I can just buy it later and it'll be professionally shot with professional audio.
Yeah.
Great. Like then I don't have to worry about, I'll pay the, couple bucks or whatever it is. I think that would be a smart thing to do. And then it's going to be different for each show. Hopefully it's not the same clip, because every show is different. Like when I saw Sam at Faster Pussycat, it was the last show. That was a wild show. Like the opening band of Limbo dressed up in like glam costumes, and you guys were like playing all these pranks on each other, and it was funny. It was a good time. That was like different than the show before, I'm sure.
Oh, completely. That was a very, very fun show. End of the tour is always a really, really good time. But on that one, especially because we all had so much fun together, and, Pussycat, we're all kind of, I feel like we all like to have quite a bit of fun. So anytime that we can have a little bit of fun like that is a really good time.
Yeah, because what was going on? Like somebody was drinking beers, and you guys were replacing his beers with water, and somebody kept switching it back, and like,
well, because
throwing guitar picks at each other. I mean, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, like of Limbo. So of Limbo, we were out with two bands. Jason Charles Miller was the main support, and of Limbo was the first band playing. And so there's little things that we know, or at least I noticed. I noticed the guitar player Luke, the most important part of his rig was having a thing that hold 2 beers on his mic stand. That was his most precious piece of gear. So at the last show, I just swapped out his beers with waters. And little things like I kind of noticed he'd wear his guitar a little. I like wearing my guitar low, so I noticed anytime somebody wears their guitar a little higher, so they're like going on, and I lowered his guitar straps, and just Kieran was throwing picks at everybody, and it was just a good time. And of Limbo would end their set every night with a song called "Let's Get Fucked Up," and that's their. I don't know if I can say that word, but I just
you can say it. Yeah, I know you don't even drink. That's the funny part too.
Yeah, so then Luke was like, oh, do you guys want to come up and play Let's Get Fucked Up? And I'm like, yeah, I can't sing it, so let's do it. So
yeah, that was fun.
It was really, really fun. And Jason Charles Miller, the guys were great, and we all got up with them as well. And so that's why the last show of the tour can be a really good time. And then we had everybody basically come out with us too. When Tender sings his Pretty Fucked Up, the Super Sucker song, they all came out on stage, and crazy stuff like that is fun. It makes it memorable.
Brett, do you have shows like that? Like, what is your most memorable show that you played this year? Because I saw you with Slaughter, and that was an awesome show.
Yeah, we've Great White plays with Slaughter a pretty good bit, and that's usually pretty fun. They've done a couple of the shows with AON and George, and even Terry from XYZ sings some of the Dokken songs too and stuff. So those are always cool. And then at the end of the show, all of us get out on stage together and play Wicked Sensation. And it's cool because we're just running around, high fives, like me and Terry are switching parts and everything. That's always fun.
Yeah. Did you get to play any shows this year, Troy?
Yeah. I was in Mexico and Italy and yeah, all sorts of places. Not, I don't tour as extensively as I have in the past. But coming next year, I've already got some stuff coming up that we'll be announcing soon overseas. And so yeah, I stay busy enough. But yeah, beautiful Italy in the summertime with the Gilby Clarke band. We played a big square in Tor Grande on the island of Sardinia to about 5,000 people, benefit for pediatric cancer. So raised a bunch of money. My buddy Patrick Abate, who's a great guitar player on his own, organized and put that all together. And that was great, because it was a bunch of different musicians from Italy, and then we were sort of kind of the special guest. And Gilby was up there for quite a bit throughout the night, and then we got up there and did 4 songs. But at the end, it was just everybody that had played throughout the day, just getting up there for a good cause, good audience, and stuff like that's fun. Sam talks about Faster and when they end a tour. We did a tour with Faster Pussycat back in, well, it's like 2010 with Karabi and LA Guns, and I was out with John Karabi playing for him. And at the end, at the very last show, Faster came out. Chad Stewart had a cowbell, and he's hitting the cowbell so off time, like right in my ear, and it's so you start paying attention to this cowbell. But those guys are always fun. They do it old school. That's how bands used to end tours back in the day.
That's cool. Well, another tour that's or band that's going to be doing their farewell tour is Aerosmith. I think they started it in it was supposed to start in September 2023, but the drummer Joey Kramer's he's out, and then Steven Tyler hurt his vocal cords, so I think it's delayed. But I think the thing that stood out for me about this, because I'd never seen Aerosmith, I was like, oh, maybe I should go see this. But I think the nosebleed seats were like $400. So pretty crazy. Troy, have you seen Aerosmith? Or are you going to see this tour?
I will see it if it comes to Vegas. I've seen Aerosmith many times back in the day. Ted Nugent and Aerosmith and a bunch of other bands. But anyway, yeah, they're definitely, I want to see them on their way out. So yeah, I think so. And I think I would make an exception on ticket prices to go see them, because I think Steve and Joe still have it. Although, after 3 shows, they had to pull the plug on it. And, it's kind of to be seen what's going to happen. But I believe he's on the mend. He ruptured or did something pretty severe to a vocal cord, Steven Tyler. And so, who knows what's going to happen. Plus, they're getting older, and, anything and any day. I mean, think about this last year, how many artists we've lost. And as we get older, we lose more. Anything can change in just one day. Somebody's going to be gone. So I hope that they're able to get together before they hang up the guitars and the microphones.
Yeah. Brad, have you seen Aerosmith? Or are you going to see him on this tour? Or would you maybe open for them with Great White?
Probably not. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know if that would happen, but if we got the opportunity, I would be down. If I can see them, if I'm in town, if it's hard to plan things sometimes whenever you're traveling a lot, but if I can, I would love to. And no, I haven't seen them, but I mean, Steven Tyler is Steven Tyler. I'd love to see him.
Is he a big influence on you?
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. I grew up listening to their stuff. I used to steal my dad's CDs. I think I've told you before, and he had a couple of them. I remember the Big One CD. Didn't we talk about that one time?
Probably, yeah.
CD? With that one. Yeah, if I can, I would love to, but no, I haven't seen them.
Sam, or have you seen Aerosmith?
I did see them. Yeah, I believe it might have been 2014. I'm not sure the year, but it was out here in LA at the Forum with Slash and Miles Kennedy opening, and it was a amazing show. It was amazing.
Wow, that does sound good. I love Slash and Miles Kennedy. That's a great package. Dang.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. So another story, Sammy Hagar is going on the road and he's going to do some of the Van Halen songs. And this was confusing. Troy, maybe you can clear this up for me because I didn't understand the whole story. It was like, first he said he invited David Lee Roth to come up. And then David Lee Roth was like, yeah, let's go tour. And Sammy's like, fuck no, I'm not touring with you, asshole. He's like, I think he meant more like he was going to invite him up to come up for like a song or something, like maybe in like one city. And so it was kind of just interesting the way, and then he took a shot. He said something like, Sammy said, no way. I know better than to have him on tour again. Been there, done that. He can come out and sing a song on a show or two if he can remember the words. Ouch. You remember that story?
Yeah, I do. And I skipped them when we talked about Eddie Trunk's 40th. They were the only band that was announced, was with Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony. And man, he's still got it. He, in his 70s, what is he? Is he 76? It's crazy. It's crazy how good he looks and how much energy he has. Still plays great guitar. But yeah, I felt like the reaction to what Dave said when asked about it, or if he just volunteered a response, I didn't get the sentiment that he was expecting to go out on tour with them. I kind of thought he just said, let's do it. I don't think it meant let's do it. Send my manager all the dates and how much money. I just kind of felt like he was into doing it, but not necessarily for a tour. So I kind of felt like Hagar, unless there was some verbiage I missed, kind of felt like he like really backtracked and really exaggerated his response. I was like, I don't think Dave was insinuating he was going on the entire tour. I didn't get that from what I read. So unless I missed something, I didn't get that. And then, Sammy, if you can remember the word, I mean, it's like, so wait, so do you want me, do you want me to come out or you don't now? If you're going to say all this shit about me, why would I come out there? And I think, to be honest, I'm sure Sammy will do fine on his own. He does great numbers, puts on a great show. It's a fun show. But I don't think it would hurt to have Roth come out and do a couple of those old VH tunes. I think it would really add a little bit of intrigue to that tour.
Definitely. Brett, what do you think? You like both of those guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I mean, the sounds were so different. I love the first Van Halen album back in the day. Like they don't sing anything alike at all, but I love both sides of it. And I would really like to see what they would do together on a tour. Like, even if it was just a show, a couple shows, whatever, that would be cool. But I don't know why he would be like, yeah, we should do this thing together, and be like, no, never mind. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I would be so down to see it.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. Sam, what do you think?
Same here. It's almost kind of like two different bands. I was trying to think of another comparison, but the main one that comes to mind is Sabbath, like with Dio and Ozzy. And then obviously Sabbath had more singers than that too. But the Van Halen with Roth and Van Halen with Sammy Hagar almost feel like two kind of different things, and really, really great things in their own ways. So yeah, I'd totally love to see it for sure. It'd be cool.
Have you guys been following, in the past year? I think Dave has put out maybe a half a dozen re-records of Van Halen classics. He just put out a remix of just like Living in Paradise, or what this must be just like Living in Paradise, from his first solo album. And then he's been trickling out songs with his collaboration with John 5. Like, we don't know anything that he's doing. He ended up canceling all the dates in Vegas that were going to be his final dates. And then you didn't know if he was going to be an EMT or climb some rocks or whatever he's doing. And now he's, putting out new versions of Jump and all these classic Van Halen tunes. Have you guys been up on that, and have you heard it?
Well, I just read, I just had the author, podcaster Darren Paltrowitz on my show. He just wrote a book about David Lee Roth and so I just did a deep dive into all the David Lee Roth stuff. It's a really interesting book.
Have you seen a therapist yet since?
What?
Have you had to consult a therapist?
I mean, I didn't know a lot of the stories about how when he left Van Halen, it was to do a movie. Crazy from the Heat was the EP, but there was a movie called Crazy from the Heat that was supposed to happen that got canceled. And then there was like another movie, and there's all this stuff. And then they're saying he's got like 100 songs in the vault of different things that he's worked on. And then he'll come out and he'll do a bunch of interviews and stuff, and then he'll disappear. And he's just a mysterious guy. He's interesting. I was lucky. I got to see Van Halen with Hagar, and I got to see Van Halen with Roth. I was in the nosebleeds. I think, for both, because they're both expensive shows. But I mean, it was entertaining. Both of those guys are fun. But yeah, I don't know what Roth's up to now. Like, yeah, if you follow Paltrowitz, he's got he does 2 podcasts, and he has one that's a David Lee Roth specific podcast, which I'm pretty sure is the only one. So you can keep up with to date with all the David Lee Roth news. There's always something going on. Yeah. Let's talk about Spotify. That's always a fun story. Because Dee Snider just came out and was just blasting the CEO and complaining about how he's taking too much money. And then Weird Al came out. I don't know if you guys saw that. He was joking that, he got a thing that was like, hey, congratulations on 1 million streams or whatever. And he's like, yeah. So after I got my check for the 1 million streams, I'm going to go out and get a turkey sandwich. So I don't know. I'm not a musician. Is it really that bad? Is this over exaggerated? Is it really just pennies that they're giving you guys? Like, Sam, you tell me. I'm sure you want to talk about this.
Do I?
No, probably not. But I mean, well, what can you say? Like, are the rumors, are they exaggerated at all? I mean, I feel like they got to pay something, right? I mean, you're in so many different projects. You've released music. I mean, you're getting something from that, I hope, right?
Something, but very, very little, very little. So yeah, it is pretty crazy that it's almost basically like people are able to get the music for free. I'm somewhat hypocritical because I come from when I was a kid, I owned a few CDs and whatnot, but I was big into the LimeWire. Mostly that was kind of what was going on when I was growing up and getting into music. So I was big into that. And then that's really kind of it took me a while to realize as a kid that, oh, you're supposed to listen to like a record, like the whole thing, and not just certain songs and whatnot. And so, but yeah, I know the Spotify stuff is not great, and I don't know what the answer is for it.
It's kind of just like music is almost like an advertisement to get you to come out to the show. I forget which musician it was that said, like, we're just a traveling t-shirt company, and we saw that's how we make all our money is off the t-shirts and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it feels like we're making just the money off the gigs and the merch, really.
Well, I bought a shirt, so hopefully
I noticed.
Out a little.
Noticed.
Yeah.
Thank you for the turkey sandwich.
Brett, what do you think? I know you haven't recorded a lot of music, but you have some with All or Nothing, and I think you're going to record some with Great White. So, I mean, you don't rely on that for too much money, though?
No, I mean, like shows and merch, like we were talking about, or if we have physical copies of something, if we have CDs or albums at the merch table, then we can get a little return on that, and it's cool. But as far as streams and stuff goes, if anything cool happens over there, it's just a bonus. So it's shows and merch.
Yeah. Troy, you agree with all that? Same thing for you?
Well, I feel like this. I don't know the whole shakeup in Hollywood over streaming. I think some of it was related to because there's a big Hollywood strike, and the actors and writers were striking because I think the streaming services were going to take liberties with and I think it may have had something to do with AI. I don't know all of the intricacies of that, but relative to Spotify and relative to Dee Snider blasting the CEO. And Sebastian Bach's been definitely a big advocate for musicians against Spotify as well. When is that strike going to happen? There's been big artists that have pulled their stuff from Spotify. So artists do have control to say, you can't stream our music. And until we get a proper deal, instead of 0.0000 to infinity 2 cents per stream, and I see a lot of these artists, it's like, hey, we streamed, 1,050 hours this year on Spotify, blah, blah, and we're all supposed to like thumbs up. And it's like, they didn't pay you though for that. So yeah, it's great that your music is being heard, but then, the rose and the thorn part of it is, well, yeah, but I didn't make any money off it. At the end of the day, songwriters write music for people and for whatever, it's their outlet and for the art. But they should get paid for it. If somebody else is making money, how come the artists aren't making a fair share of it? Because without Spotify, maybe the artists aren't getting heard, but without the artists, there's no Spotify. So when is that big strike? When are all these bands going to pull their streams from Spotify to go until you pay us a fair wage? You can't stream us there. I think it's going to take that, like a big artist like Taylor Swift. And I think Neil Young did it. I don't know if he's back on there, but some of these artists over time have removed their songs to try and get a proper vig from the streaming services. But the big blowout hasn't happened yet, but I see that coming soon.
Yeah, because I think it's a great system, but I do think the artists obviously need to be paid more. And I don't mind paying more as a customer, like for what you're getting. I mean, for an unlimited, basically, amount of music. And if you pay for the premium Spotify, you don't have to listen to commercials. I mean, it's a great system, but you definitely, we pay like nothing. It's like what, $15 a month or something like that. I mean, it should be way more for how much music I'm streaming. I mean, maybe the average person doesn't stream that much, but I'm always looking for different music and stuff. And so I think it's a good system, but I think the artists do need to get more. And I think you're right. I think that the only way that happens is if a few of these big artists do a strike and they band together, because the artists outnumber the CEOs. There's only one CEO and there's a lot of artists. So
I will say I am an Apple Music user, so that's my boycott to Spotify.
There you go.
Yeah, is that it? But it's no different, right? Isn't it all the same? Even I know the singer Train was telling me that he only gets like a penny from the iTunes when if you buy a song off iTunes, it's like $1.29. He gets like a penny off that. I'm like, that's crazy to me.
It's probably all the same, but we don't hear as much about Apple Music. So
yeah, why is that? Why is Spotify the evil? Yeah. And is there other ones too? Is there like a Google streaming one or something like that?
There's like Pandora. There's
Pandora.
Everybody's got one. iHeart.
Yeah,
Music.
YouTube.
There's so many. Yeah, YouTube is big in streaming. So. But yeah, you're right, Sam. We only hear about Spotify, so for some reason they're the target. I don't know what
they're probably the biggest. I would think. Yeah. I could be. I'm probably. I don't know for sure, but Spotify is probably the thing that's the most widely used all across the board.
Yeah. Well, besides the streaming and stuff, I mean, that's one way that artists are getting screwed. But recently, Dave Mustaine of Megadeth, soundbite.
My DNA is all over that.
So Dave Mustaine was in an interview with my buddies on the SDR show, and he was saying how, like, even if you don't, or if you're not doing a show that night, but you're on tour, it could cost like $50,000 just for like an off night, because they got like a light man, a sound guy, a monitor guy, and a drum tech, a guitar tech, another monitor guy, the truck drivers, the caterers, all this stuff. So like, even if they're just like an off night, there's no show, they got to pay for all these people, like, because they're getting paid on a per day basis. So, I mean, what do you think you think that's an issue now? I mean, you guys all are in this business and have to look at these numbers and stuff. I don't know. Is it getting hard to make money off touring and doing shows?
That's why Faster Pussycat does 25 shows in 24 days.
Yeah.
That's what Tammy's like, days off cost money. It's like,
yeah,
days off cost money.
Does that hurt his voice though, to like not be able to get a day off or a break?
That guy is something else. I don't understand how he does it. Now, granted, on the tour that we just completed, he lost his voice a couple times. Granted, who knows what that could have been from? We were traveling in November in places that are colder. So in June, he didn't lose his voice at all. Usually on a long, usual Faster Pussycat tour, which is usually 8 to 10 weeks, he'll lose his voice like kind of once, like a weekend, and then it'll come back. And it'll just sound like Lemmy for a couple days. But no, he told me the most shows he's ever done is 38 shows in a row. The most I've ever done with the band was 14. And the most that Ace Von Johnson, who came before me, he told me he did like 21 in a row.
Wow. But you guys were able to tour and it made sense. Because I know a lot of bands like Warrant and probably Brett, you could speak for Great White, but don't a lot of you guys, you just do these like weekend fly-in dates where you'll do like you could just fly in and you don't even have to bring they have the drum set there for you and stuff. Cause that was my question. I was like, how do you bring the drums if you're flying in? But they have a drum set there that you can use.
Yeah, they usually have like backline, and then the drummer will just bring like breakables, like cymbals, the snare they want, their pedals, stuff like that. But yeah, backline's provided. So hopefully, whenever you fly into wherever you're going, they have read the list and have everything that you need there. If not, it might be like, oh, well, we couldn't get that, but there's this, or there can be problems like that, but it can be pretty convenient whenever you're doing fly dates 2 or 3 in a row, and it's not like a long tour.
Cause have you done tours with Great White? Have you guys actually toured? Or is it more just flying dates?
We've talked about it. A few of the guys want to, so maybe something will happen this year, but we're used to fly dates mostly.
Yeah. Troy, what you've looked at some of these numbers because you've kind of helped manage some of this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean it's getting more and more expensive for low level, mid level bands to tour, even the heavyweights. I mean, think about Anthrax and how many tours have been canceled. Going over to Europe, they're just like we're not going to make any money. You've got visas, taxes. In the States, buses are the prices are expensive. Everybody's getting paid more. The gas is higher. The airfare is higher. The only thing that's remained the same is musician wages. That has not gone up. So in this inflation, everybody's paying more for everything else. But when the band comes, they've been playing the same place. They still want to pay you the $1,500. It's like, hang on a second, man. Every time we play here, there's 350 people here. Your capacity's 300, and you want to keep paying us the same wage. Well, then they'll complain about how their food costs are more and everything's more. But the musicians are the only ones taking a hit. So that's why there's been big advocacy for like merch rates at venues to either go away or lessen. And Live Nation and all of these House of Blueses recently, and this took some heat from some industry insiders, was that they were not only paying some of the support acts money, but they were not going to take any percentage from the merch. And so everybody's kind of hailing Live Nation for doing this generous thing, but it was really only until the end of the year. So it's going to be about 8 to 10 weeks or 10 to 12 weeks. And then they were going to go back to tagging 25, 30%, whatever their merch rate is. But some of the independent venues are now going, well, now you're making us look bad. We need to get that 15 or 20% from those bands because we don't have the backing of it, So now you're squeezing the indie guy, because I don't want to play your club because you're going to take 20%, but the House of Blues isn't. Well, after 2024, they will again. But, it's just crazy, and, kids, don't be a musician, but maybe be a tech or be a bus driver. That's where your money's at.
Oh, I mean, it seems frustrating. It's sad because I love music and I want to support everybody as much as I can, but it's nice to do these kind of shows, pull the curtain back a little, let the fans know. And then like, what are the best ways to support bands besides buying merch and going to see a show?
Well, I mean, those are obviously the top two, and maybe sharing your minute-long cool video. The meet and greets are helpful, and I think a lot of bands are getting creative with meet and greets now. Instead of taking a photo in the kitchen of the bar and grill, with the dude making pizza behind you, they're offering packages where, hey, come at 5 o'clock, you'll get to see the sound check, you'll get access to merch that we don't sell to everybody else, and then you go get dinner and then come back and see the show. So you get freebies, or hey, we're doing a dressing room acoustic thing for 15 minutes for no more than 10 people. So bands are having to get creative to come up with new revenue streams in and around touring. So I mean, they're selling everything, and unfortunately you got to make up for those percentages that merch companies, or I should say venues, are taking for merch sales, and you have to overcome fuel cost and travel cost and paying for your help, because, bands you get what you paid for. So you got to make sure you take care of your help too, that's out there helping the cause. It's expensive.
Yeah. You guys want to add
Painful.
anything, Brett, Sam?
Yeah, he said it all, really. Just having to get more creative with ways to try to make money and try to
You know,
make.
I think have a date with Sam. Bid $150. Plus, you have to buy the dinner. Whatever it takes.
Hey, that
Like-
would be that's a coveted package there. Yeah.
I-
I mean, it really is like it's creativity. It's just you see some bands are better at this than others because some bands are like, look, we're just artistic. We just want to play music. And the other bands, I mean, like I think Kiss is like they're the ultimate, like they put their logo on like everything from, mugs to coffins. And so it's just like, but it's smart because they're probably doing okay in this economy.
Well,
Sure.
I don't know, Alex Jones.
Well, Gene Simmons is one of two things. He's one dumb son of a bitch, or he's one evil bastard.
I think it's both. I'll say it's both.
I agree.
I'm going to say we'll go through too. If you guys have any other concerts that you want to give a shout out to, the bands that you saw this year, but I want to say, yeah, I saw Faster with Of Limbo. That was a great show. I saw Great White and Slaughter. That was a great show. I saw the Foo Fighters, was amazing. Skid Row and Buck Cherry was also good. And then probably the best show I saw this year, just because I was such a fan when I was a kid and I never got to see them, was Ugly Kid Joe. I highly suggest seeing that band, whether you're a fan or if you're not familiar with them, but go check them out live. Whitfield Crane, the singer, is amazing. I mean, he sounds like he's like 22. He hit all the notes. The band sounded phenomenal. And the cool thing about seeing a band like that is like, you're seeing them really like up close. You're not like in the nosebleeds or whatever. So those are my best concerts of the year. Troy, you said the Eddie Trunk one was your favorite? Was there other shows?
It was just so fun because you got 20 different artists up there in a 3.5 hour window, all mixing it up. And that was really cool. Plus everybody was great. It was great. It was a very cool event. You mentioned Skid Row, saw them recently open up for Scorpions, and then Ugly Kid Joe, they're actually doing the next residency. They are the support for Scorpions in Vegas, which is kind of an odd pairing, because Ugly Kid Joe doesn't really come from, Scorps are a 70s, 80s band for sure. Ugly Kid Joe, I don't think fits in at all. So it's an interesting pairing there.
Have you seen them live though?
No, I've not. Not Ugly Kid Joe.
Whit can do like Judas Priest and Motorhead. I mean, he loves that kind of stuff. So I think I think you should go check it out. I think you'll be surprised. They're good live, and they will fit with Scorpions, especially if they tailor their set list to fit with it.
Interesting. Yeah, I would go check it out. I saw Scorps when they did their last residency here, and it was great. I don't know that I'd go see them again, but I'd go see Ugly Kid Joe. Not to be confused with Pretty Boy Floyd. All right, so concerts 2023. Donnie V was back. Saw Donnie here in Vegas. Did a 2+ hour show here at Counts Vamped, and he's back. I think he's got a good band behind him, and he sings great, and of course he's got great songs. Last in Line, I saw they had. I don't know if their new album came out this year. Their most recent, is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be another honorable mention. I thought they were great, and to see those guys again, because my first concert was Dio and Rough Cut, and Dio was Vinny Appice and Vivian Campbell. So those guys are still in Last in Line, and that was great. Roxanne, a great band from the 80s, didn't hit a lot, but have now resurfaced, putting out a couple albums. They've had George Lynch, Doug Pinnick, many others interact with them and come on their videos. Roxanne is a cool band. They're one of those bands that like never made it but should have. So definitely check out Roxanne. Very, very cool band. If you're familiar with like the metal shops, which the one in LA became Steel Panther, the Boogie Nights, the M80s, there's a lot of these bands all around the country. The singer of Roxanne, that's his baby. That's a thing called Perfect World, which he's had forever. So if you see Metal School or Metal, I should say Metal Shop or the M80s or Boogie Nights, that's his project. Dirty Honey, number 2, saw them live for the first time in Vegas, and man, what a show. It was awesome. Great band. Go see them. And then the Eddie Trunk's 40th just was so cool because there were so many artists there all in one room. It was pretty damn fantastic.
That's awesome. Brett, did you see a lot of cool bands, or are you just too busy singing yourself?
I've played with we did M3, we did the Monsters of Rock cruise and everything, so I got to see everybody around. But the only band that I've gone out, I think, all year to see on my own. I had a friend with me. We went to go see Lorna Shore in Huntsville, and Will Ramos, his vocals live are killer.
And that's like that stuff's really heavy from what I could hear.
Yeah. Yeah, look up
Yeah.
Will Ramos. He did a one take video of their song, "To the Hellfire," and he kills it every time. He's
And
like,
you said these guys are doing stadiums now?
they're doing really, really big stuff. So I'm really excited for him. But so I had to go check him out because he approaches harsh vocals a little bit more like singing, and his control and going from like different registers and using different techniques and everything. He's very, very clean with it. He's not just like screaming. And there's a lot of people that don't listen to that kind of music necessarily that can recognize the skill that it takes after listening to him and seeing some of his live stuff, and like, oh, okay, so this is really cool. It's not just somebody screaming like a lot of people think. So it's exciting to see that. So
I'll have to check that out. Sam, did any shows or bands that you saw that stood out?
Actually, one was about a week and a half ago. It's this Canadian band called Big Wreck.
Oh yeah.
I went to see them at the Troubadour. I was mostly familiar with the singer's solo music with his band Thornley, but I had only known a couple Big Wreck songs, and a couple friends texted me. They're like, "Are you going to this?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And I was so glad I did. It's one of the best shows I've seen in a very long time. Just amazing riffs, amazing songs, amazing. The singer Ian Thornley is an unbelievable guitar player. So that was by far one of the best shows I've seen in a very long time. I saw Jerry Cantrell doing his solo band earlier this year, and he is my favorite guitar player. And so that was really, really great to see. And saw the Power Trip Festival, and that was incredible. Really, the day most mentioning, at least in my opinion, was AC/DC and Judas Priest the second day, and it was unbelievable. I'd never seen AC/DC before.
Oh yeah, I saw them in '95 on the Ball Breaker tour. That was cool. They had this big wall and this like crane was like swinging, and then the ball broke down and the wall came out, and then they came out and started playing. I was like, wow, that was like one of the coolest openings I've ever seen for a concert.
Oh,
That was
that's
really
rad.
neat. Yeah. You guys get like you try to get hookups when you go to concerts? You like you have like your manager or somebody connect you so you get a free pass or whatever, or you just pay the regular ticket.
Manager, what's that?
Or all these musicians, see, I never ask for that stuff, but if somebody offers, I never turn it down. But I don't
Yeah.
ask. It's so weird asking for that kind of stuff.
I do too. It depends on the thing. It depends if it's a friend's band, like if I'm going to see LA Guns, those guys. I mean, I live across the street from Tracy, so or something like that. But the Power Trip thing was quite expensive. But, and yeah, it kind of depends, at least for me. If it's somebody that I'm good friends with and somebody offers, then yeah. But I'm also not really one to be like, yo, dude, want to come to your show?
Does it get annoying when people ask you guys for like free? Does that happen? I'm assuming that happens a lot. That people like, hey, can you hook me up?
It depends. It depends. If it's somebody that I'm like really close to, like if Troy was to reach out or if Brett was to reach out, like somebody, a peer friend, something like that, or somebody that I talk to all the time or play with or whatever, that to me, I have no problem with. But when you just get the random message from some guy like, yo, put me on the list, and it's like, delete.
Yeah,
I don't know
I think
who you are.
that's what it is. It's like wait, who are you and why? You know what I mean? It is weird. People are pretty ballsy when they ask for stuff. You don't know them, or they think because you're connected on Facebook, you're best of friends, and it's like, wow, that's really inappropriate. And it's usually like this, not like, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you, and then whatever the sob story is, it's like, yo, I'll see you tonight +1. It's like, wow, really that confident, huh?
Wow.
Very, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of stuff. Is there anything else that stood out to you guys in terms of concerts, rock stories, new music, anything else? Going once, going twice. What about Jeff? A few people died. Jeff Beck, that was a big one. I mean, he was a very influential guitarist. Was he, Sam, were you a fan of Jeff Beck?
Of course, how could you not be? Yeah, I mean, I can't even really remember all the deaths because it's always kind of hard to think about the sad stuff and the bummer stuff. But yeah, Jeff Beck was that was a big bummer when he died.
That one and Wayne Swinney, guitarist of Saliva.
Oh yeah.
He was only 59, and I had him on the show like a few months before that, and he was super nice. I was like, I love Saliva. I thought, I mean, I still do. I think they're great. They don't have really any original members in the band anymore, but yeah, those two were the two of the big, like in terms of hard rock people that stand out. I'm probably missing a ton. I know Tina Turner, she's not really hard rock. She died. Jimmy Buffett died. There's a lot of celebrity deaths every year.
Yeah, there was Gary Rossington from Leonard Skinner. That's a big one. There's, you just go through the list and you're like, wow, really? I mean, it's there's a lot, and as we get older, kids, we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. So, if your heroes are out there on their last tour, go see them for sure. Unless they're Kiss, because they're just going to be avatars anyway. You can go see them. So it's okay.
Right. Awesome. Well, look forward to seeing you guys either on tour or just in town in Phoenix. Hit me up. Let me know. And anything else you need to promote? Now's the time to do it.
Chuck, if you want to come to the show, you would definitely be on the guest list.
Okay. Yeah, I got on the guest list.
I felt like that.
I love Limbo. Like, so they invited me and I was like, okay. I mean, I would have paid it was not like it was an expensive ticket anyways. I would have paid, and I bought a shirt of yours. I bought a shirt of theirs. And yeah, not Jason. Sorry, Jason. Yeah. It was fun. It was a good show.
Nice.
You guys have another tour for 2024?
With Pussycat, yeah, there's stuff that's in the works for everybody. For us, for Pussycat at least, we finish off the year in a week at the Whiskey on December 30th, and then I think we kick off. The first thing that we do next year is the Monsters of Rock cruise, and then the first thing Dorothy does next year is the Shiprocked cruise, which is in February. And then Budderside is actually supposed to go on tour with the 69 Eyes, which I am extremely excited about. Very much love the 69 Eyes and very much excited to get to tour with Budderside. And I know Crossbone Skully is going to continue releasing stuff. And what else am I missing? Doing a gig with the Throbs at the Whiskey on January 5th. And hopefully more. But yeah, Pussycat, I know that we're going to try to route a tour around the M3 festival because we're doing that next year.
Nice.
So that's what I've heard.
Brett, you have some shows too. You have shows with Great White, All or Nothing, and George Lynch.
Yeah, all of the above. So it's going to be a busy year. I'm excited for it. We'll see what all happens. The dates are just filling in, so it's.
And possibly new music with Great White, I think you talked about, right?
Yes, we're working on some. Scotty, our bass player, I need to call him because he had his second back surgery today. He's got a nerve problem in his spine, and he's had it all his life, and it's getting fixed. And so we had to delay. I was supposed to be out there with them like all last week writing and stuff, but we had to postpone that. But yeah, me and Mark have written some stuff together. I don't know when exactly we're going to be laying down tracks, but I know we've got the stuff. We're working on it. We're planning on it. AON is too. Busy.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear it. I love this stuff. And if people haven't heard your cover of Motley Crue's is it Loudwire that you do?
Livewire, yeah.
Livewire, yeah. Sorry, yeah. That cover is, people need to check that out to really see what you can do with your. Because Great White is good too, but like you'd kill it on Livewire. That is so great. So, Troy, do you have anything to promote?
Yeah, just doing my weekly live radio show. I've got some tour dates coming up with Gilby and some other artists next year. Kind of, just these days picking and choosing the ones that just make sense. But really honing in on this, that, and the other radio show that I do live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific at dirtyradio.fm. Some upcoming guests for 24. It's going to be Craig Gass.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah. Craig's great. He's got some stuff happening in Vegas, so we're going to talk then. Oni Logan will be coming on, and I think we'll find out some interesting things there because Lynch Mob is on there, kind of what they're touting as their final tour next year, and they just released an album again. Lynch Mob, Dokken, both in 2023 putting out new music. It's astonishing, and it doesn't hurt that it's good stuff too. So support that stuff if you dig it. But yeah, just doing all that, and you can find any and all of the nonsense that I do at drummertroy.com.
Yeah, I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can just push a button and click on their phone or their mouse or whatever, and follow all you guys on social media. You're all on Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff. So cool. Thanks, guys. Anything else?
Cool. It's good to see you again, man. I hope everything's doing well, going well. You guys too. And
yeah, good to see all of you. Thank you all for doing this. We'll get this episode out ASAP, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody right here on the panel, and of course out there in YouTube land, and all the best in 2024. We got a lot to be thankful for, so make the most of it.
Yep. Rock on.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
See you, Chuck. Thanks, man.
All
Happy
right.
New Year.
Bye-bye. See you guys.
See you, man.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to the full podcast episode. Please help support our guests by following them on social media and purchasing their products, whether it be a book, album, film, or other thing. And if you have a few extra dollars, please consider donating it to their favorite charity. If you want to support the show, you can like, share, and comment on this episode on social media and YouTube. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can give us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. Finally, make sure you're subscribed to the show on YouTube for the video versions and other exclusive content. We appreciate your support. Have a great rest of your day and shoot for the moon.